Hey guys, it's me again, Orcslayer What If. So where we last left off, well, I'm continuing the Bell What If. So where we last left off, they just met. Bell and Saruman just met up with the dwarves, or one of the kingdom of the dwarves. He's trying to summon up all his army and yada yada yada. And I'm gonna have to do a very long time skip. It's like Bell's around, if I remember correctly, I said I had him at 16. So it's going to be he's going to be like 19 to 18 at this point. By this point, the acts with the orcs and such have started to get heavier. There's pretty much no activity in the dwarven areas. And the goblins, orcs, all of them have pretty much stopped attacking human or isolated villages, from what they know. Even trolls, wargs, all those creatures are just nowhere to be seen, like, at all. They're just gone. The Dwarven King is still at the ready. The elves are still looking. But even they can't find anybody. We've talked to some of the human kings. One or two understands this situation. And the Council of Wizards, well, they're the ones who keep on looking around like the hardest out of everyone. And Saruman is pretty much made dire in these years of service, and after they've kept on doing task after task, he's sort of rose in the ranks a little bit. And so has Bell. He's at the very least like what you considered the second rank for a wizard, with his years of helping them constantly. Not many wizards do what he did. He didn't travel around with his master. Typically they'd just be left behind. Saruman disagreed with that because he saw Bell could handle himself. He's pretty much fully learned He's pretty much fully learned Black speech, Elven. He's learned quite a lot. He also he's pretty good with potions and such, alchemy, and he's learned a few other spells. Like, he's pretty much mastered all the spells that he ever comes across, that he just pretty much takes all that knowledge and just absorbs it up. He's pretty much mastered the 4 essential ranks, or the 4 essential magics: earth, fire, well, yeah, I also gave him lightning and a few other elemental spells. Still quite a few. He doesn't know anything about dark magic. As he questions Saruman, why does Saruman keep on looking into the dark magic? And he asks him not to go too far, otherwise he may not come back out of it. Saruman says that for them to completely defeat their enemy, they must fully understand their enemy as well. Because if they don't understand them completely, then that by itself may lead to other things happening. Such as, they may not know how to counter some sort of dark curse spell or whatever. As Bell understands this, but personally does not go anywhere near any of that dark magic. That's only Saruman. And Saruman has been going quite deep into these studies. As then, a little bit after that conversation, riders from, I'll say, the north or whatever. Let's see, east, south. Riders come from several locations, coming to the council for aid. As their question, they ask, as the council calls a meeting. Also, an update for Radagast. He's pretty much mastered the entire woodland arts and has probably become better than any single person there. He's best when it comes to like earth and such, like the woods. Communicates with them. Even won out there a few times to communicate with the Ents, if I remember correctly. I put him in there. So, anyways, as they continue forward, these riders warned them about how massive hordes of orcs have become somewhat active. They've taken several strongholds from humans. Now, only a few riders were able to get out. They tried to go to the human kingdom for help, but every time they tried to make it there, they were just cut off again and again. So they just decided to try and make their way to the wizarding towers, as they heard there's hasn't been many orcs, and the wizards can get information around a lot quicker than anyone else. As with that being said, the council calls up high-ranking wizards, you could say, for a meeting. Saruman's there, and a few other powerful mages are there, saying that the orcs have finally made the move. We must send messages to the elves, the dwarves, and the men. We must make this quick now, before the orcs' hordes overwhelm us. That's just like, but how are we gonna do that? It's like, well, what we're gonna do is send birds, and what we're gonna try to communicate is through magic. Yeah. During this time, the elves have been preparing, and Belle's family and them. Belle's father has somewhat rose to a high rank, as he organized several militias, you could say, for several towns, and that one town that everyone was staying at has been fortified and expanded upon because of how many villages were getting attacked. So they sort of expanded on the grounds that they already had. And they've been relatively safe since wizards and such have been around more. Like going to and from and getting everything organized. With the whole, as Saruman questions council, has there been any word on the new master? As the wizards say, that is unconfirmed. We do not know what it is. It could be some servants of that old Dark Lord, or it could be him himself. We do not know. But what we do know is that we can destroy his army. Saruman, we are sending you and your apprentices to the kingdom of mankind. Right there is where you could assist them in teaching them how to properly defend and getting them caught up to speed on certain events when it comes to these orcs. As then Saruman hears this, as Bell and Radagast are told what's happening, they get ready, get strapped, and then they set off. Riding for the human kingdom will take a week or so to get there all the way, and they're riding every day, every night, so, That being said, as they're making their way, they aren't attacked by anything. They don't even find people. It's just quiet all along the roads. Nobody's there, nobody's home. That's just it. As then they finally reach the kingdom of human. I'll just call it Gondor, for sakes. As then they explain to the king what's wrong, the king then states that, for what they know, they have not fought any orcs. There's several castles that have been laid siege to by the orcs. They need to act now, otherwise the kingdom may get hurt severely. The dwarves and elves are already in place, they just need humans, with being the more populous of the thing, making up the bulk, I would say. Because elves are from what I know, elves don't really have high numbers, but they do what they make up for lack of numbers, quality. And the dwarves, I'm not sure about the dwarves. I know they have a lot more than the elves, but not more than people, from what I know. So, yeah. As all sides are pretty much making preparations, but this king has been sort of lax. A few other, like, nobles, barons, and other high-ranking officials have been raising men, you could say. They've heard the whispers and such of the thing, and they heard that even the elves were getting prepared, so they took it that it might be an actual serious time to get this ready. So as they're all armored up and such, a dark cloud comes around when Belle and them are leaving, after rallying, you could say, this last kingdom, with a shadow's voice speaking of ash and fire. As Saruman says, "Get behind me," as he goes to put up a shield, as the thing just starts talking to them, sensing the power between the three of them, saying that how each one hungers, trying to play on their greed, you could say, their power lust. As Bel adds his shield to Saruman's was starting to falter, as his will was, as the spirit or this figure, you could say, just kept on saying how the promises and promises. As when Bel saw his master's shield about to fade, as it pretty much cracked, or about to be overcome, but then it's just as he forces it back with his own stuff, saying, "We do not fall for such things, Dark Shadow." Ooh. Dark Shadow. "We are servants of the light and serve the people. We shall not fall to such temptations such as yours. Be gone from this place. You shall not be welcomed here. You will be welcomed with sword and magic, fire and ash, as you will return with that very own." As this dark spirit curses in the dark and black speech, as then Bel curses right back. Then going all weird and disappearing, as Bel picks up Saruman and such. "Are you alright, Master?" Saruman looks kind of freaked out. He's like, "I'm alright, Bel. I need to ride back to the Citadel. You and Radagast shall spend time here, staying watch." Sorry. "Stay here and take watch over the city. I'll be reporting this back." And he's like, "But Master Saruman," he's like, "That is what I'm telling you to do, Bel. Follow it. And if the king needs anything of you, do as he says." As it's like, damn it. "Alright, Radagast. I would like you to ask the birds and to keep them flying around. Keep them giving us any information that is possible." As during that time, the king is starting to raise up troops, but very haphazardly, you could say. Just a few mentions, join the army to help us defend against orcs, sort of stuff. As they get at the beginning, they get quite an influx of troops, because a lot of the towns and such have been destroyed, so there's a lot of young men, you could say, that want vengeance, you could say again. That join up just for the chance to strike at the orcs, but then they're just standing around, doing nothing, as the king himself hasn't really given any orders. As Bel tries to counsel him, saying that the orcs make way. We've been my friend Radagast. He has the ability to talk with animals, and the orcs are starting to make their moves. They've already taken over several fortresses. None of them are the elves, all of them humans. If we continue to allow them, as the king says, hits them with some logistics. The thing about arming all these troops and getting them moving, he says that does not stop us from sending out them to help others, protecting the other folk, like the peasants and such. As he's like, the peasants can retreat to the king keeps to keep them safe. Not when they don't have a standing army to defend them. Several other things, like these other kingdoms, such as not kingdom, but fortresses, they haven't been properly defended in ages. From reports, they have barely a garrison. This is the only place that has a substantial amount that would be able to hold out for a while. But even then, with no other troops, there's no point to even having a fortress if you can't defend it. As the king starts to lecture Bel, you could say, about questioning his judgment, you could say. Bel saying, no, just, it doesn't make sense. We must be prepared to strike back. As then, it's like, I have made my order. Do not question it. Now leave me. As the king starts to eat. As then Bel goes around talking with some other ranking officials, who have started also kicking up recruiting, making more of a fuss, you could say, about it. As Bel spoke with them, they all pretty much agreed that the orcs are a major threat if left to their own devices. That's why right now they've been gathering troops since the first report. First it started out as oh, we'll probably just need around 50 men to deal with this. Then as attacks started increasing, they started saying, alright, maybe we'll need over 500 men. As they started increasing the amount of troops until eventually they just have a large army. Each one says they have around 1,000 men under their banners, you could say. That each of them are ready to make a move if necessary. They asked how many troops does this place have. They said it has over 17,000, and that's including with ours. Without it, they'd only have 11,000 to defend, as this is a massive city. It's like a Minas Tirith. As with stating this, as they're getting ready, a messenger comes wearing dark robes, and comes bearing gifts, you could say, as they bring it to the king. As with Bel and Radagast appearing, as they see this dark creature, they says, "You are not allowed here," slamming their staff on the ground. As it's why are you being so rude to my guest? These are not your guests, my lord. These are servants of the Dark One. As they're the Dark One does not not the Dark One, but our master does not wish to see your city burn, your grace. He comes bearing gifts. In return, if you if you serve under him or do not impede him, he would leave you be for now. As the king starts thinking about this, what is his goal? He wished to reclaim what is his, and to lay claim to what was once his, the citadel and the woodland realms. As I'll say, Saruman in this is somewhat of he's very old. He's one of the founding members of the old Wizard Council, a founding member. And he was once king of all the elven countries, until he fell into the pit of dark magic. As then Bel starts saying, "He does not. He wishes to conquer us all. Why else would orcs be attacking human villages?" And then the wizard starts saying, "The orcs can be a bit untamed, but with someone leading them, they won't do that." As Bel tries to say with the Lord that the orcs would continue to attack even if with a master. If they must be fueled, they will decide to destroy something to fuel themselves less than trying to find something to fuel them. For that is the orc's nature. As That is how they were intended. With all that being said, the king decides Bell, or wizard. If you cannot, if you cannot understand the hospitality I'm outstretching to my guests, then maybe I should revoke yours. Begone. I would have words with this. What is your name? I am the messenger for Lord Sauron. As he's like, Bell's like, Radagast, gather your things. We move. As they speak with the officials, as the officials decide to get out of there, saying that they do not trust, you could say, this weird wizard person. As then, later on, they take, like, up a old fortress that has been abandoned. Its defense is held strong, it's just that eventually nobody just stopped caring about it. So as Bell and them set up shop there, Saruman, well, they get a message from the wizards saying that Lord Saruman hasn't returned yet. Have you seen him? As Bell says, no, we haven't. And the king is falling to temptations and lies of the Dark One. Lord Sauron has returned. Be it in spirit or physical, it is a threat. As the wizards try and communicate via message and such, the troops are like fixing up this old fortress and getting like stockpiles of food and such like to last. As they start getting refugees, you can say, from farther off villages. Almost all of them were abandoned. A few of them stayed. But after seeing soldiers and such like fortifying, they decide to come and see if they could get help, if the soldiers wanted help. After hearing their pleas, Bell speaks with the officials, saying that it is their decision. Deciding to allow them, they start like helping them. And I'll say this is like the Helm's Deep of this world. It's close to a mountain. As they start fortifying, with these fortifications being set in place, they actually get a few. They have the castle, they got the bridges and such. As this is actually close to what some of the Lordran, I would say. This kingdom was a ways off, but they were able to make it there, thankfully, since they could ride for weeks on end. As they made it there, they started fortifying the position as they hear a horn. As they've had quite a few remaining villages come like stay behind their walls, or even in front of their walls. As the soldiers actually started recruiting strong looking men and lads, so that way they could bolster their defense force. They got weapons and everything to defend themselves. They just need men to man the walls. As Radagast is constantly getting more information, he talks about how there's something heading our way. As Bella tells these ranking officials, they get the walls like set up and fortified. Well, with few troops, as in they just hear the horns. As it's a large amount of orcs, well over 10,000. As they're like, shit. As they start shouting for everyone to get the defenses in ready, as then the orcs start setting up their stuff. They start setting up weapons, like, not trebuchets, but they start setting up ballistas, battering rams. They start getting ladders and all that at the ready. Sorry? They start getting all that stuff at the ready. As they're moving in, Bell is helping by trying to defend themselves with magic and such, blasting fireballs into this mass of orcs. But every now and then there will be a counter spell, or a spell like canceling device. As he speaks with Radagast, asking him what could they do. As Radagast starts saying how he could call for help, but it would take a while to get here. As then, hearing this, he agrees to it. The soldiers are manning the walls, launching arrows and such. As the orcs are setting up positions, as they're trying to rush them with ladders or trying to push up to the gate, they're just getting rained with arrows upon arrows. And these are pretty much black orcs, like the Uruk-hai. They're heavily armored, and they're pretty trained well. Sorry I couldn't have, like, Saruman make them, but anyways. The black orcs are the more sturdy of the bunch. As Bel's not yelling at them, but telling them to, like, defend the walls, as he's launching lightning strikes, fireballs, magic blasts, and changing the earth to, like, destroy orcs. But they have their own wizards. As they counterspell and destroy things that come lashing out, these orcs fire red lightning, blood magic, and everything, like dark magic at them. As Bel is pretty much put on the defensive, trying to, like, counter as much magic as he can, as the orcs are in the back. So it's more or less a long-range battle between maybe like 3 or 4 medium, powerful, or somewhat powerful orcs, or Uruk-hai, or one very powerful magic user, as he's blasting away their magic, getting rid of Firestorm, like Soul Eater or whatever that they throw at him, as he's blasting their magic back, taking opportunity to strike down on orcs and such below. As they've set up, as the humans are, like, keeping the ladders off, so this is turning into somewhat of war attrition, as they're constantly fighting them off. As Bel's forces get, like, messages, like, as Bel gets messages every now and then, like, this is taking a span over a week, well, not a week, but a few days, with them getting messages from the council saying Saruman has now returned. Do you know where he is? As Bel says no, they don't know where he is, but they know that they're under attack right now by a horde of orcs. So if they could send help, that'd be nice, as they're fighting them off. As in, eventually, it's like I said, it takes a span over a few days, but it's a constant fighting. They're stabbing, they're killing, they're shooting arrows, everything. As then eventually, that's when they hear more horns, more different sounding horns of, like, I can't make the actual sound, I'm sorry, of the elves, as they look over the horizon, as they look behind the orcs, as it's like, elves, the elves are here. As then Bel orders for them to sound the horn, as it's or whatever sound. I know it sounds stupid, but they start immediately prepping for their arrival. Not arrival, but for them to start attacking the orcs, as they start fighting even harder. One of the 4 wizards have been dealt with. They haven't had any incoming spells, so Bel have been able to, like, focus on them, but there's still defense magic around this, like, thing of orcs, so it's quite difficult to do them any real amount of damage. So as he's, like, trying to wipe them away and such, hit them with earth magic and such, the wall is compromised, you could say. A portion of the wall has been destroyed. As then, with bricks finally flying everywhere, it actually crushes a wizard, one of the other wizard orcs. As then Bel's like, defend the walls, as he says, I'll deal with that. As he rushes down there wearing armor and his magic, he's like, you shall not go past this, for I shall defend against you, you foul creatures. As he starts casting any amount of magic he can get, it like that he can think of, fire strike, fire wave, everything. As he's defending against, like, incoming arrows, as he slices and uses magic to blast away the orcs. As he just ends up putting up a shield, like a physical force field, that would hold the wall, as he's like, hold it together. As the orcs are, like, slamming, there's magic being cast, as he's just holding that one wall. As troops actually, like, push over some bricks and such that were landed on the other walls, like donking orcs on the head and such, arrows are actually being fired trying to figure out where these other orcs are. It's quite impressive. As Bel's thinking, how may we last? The elves will be here shortly, though, so thankfully. as he starts praying, you could say, "May the forces of good win this battle, O lords." As in, when he goes back to focusing and trying to push the orcs, he sees where the elves have finally arrived and hear the horn. The orcs start sounding their own horn, as then the other forces come to clash. And that's where I'm going to be ending this off on. I hope y'all have enjoyed this. Hope y'all continue to enjoy this. I hope y'all have a nice day, nice night, nice life.